special feeling in Oldsmobile. There is a special feeling in Oldsmobile. More than the luxury ride, it's a feeling of pride that you feel inside.
This is my 1991 Oldsmobile 88, the last of the 80s styling in the 90s. This has sort of the crisis of what the custom cruiser had in 1990, where they kept the same body style for a very long time, even though the rest of the model lineup was updated. I think this is so cool. You have the old styling with all of the new engines and all the reworked suspension and brakes. It's the best of both worlds, in my opinion. And you get one of the coolest interiors, I'd say, that you can get on an 88. Now, these were built by Oldsmobile from 1986 all the way to 91 for this body style. They came with the 3.8 liter V6 that was produced by Buick, or the 3800, or the pre-series one 3800 in 90 and 91. Now, these cars sold pretty well. I still see them every once in a while, just on the road, especially in Detroit, the Motor City. And just take a look at those taillights. Now, this car still needs to be cleaned and gone through. I'm actually in the midst of restoring this one to a certain degree. Going to be doing some work here that I'll explain later. But I wanted to just go over the outside of this. It's not a perfect example. Actually, this car has 245,000 miles. It has half of the mileage that my Delta 88 Coupe had, and I bet this thing could probably reach 500,000 miles as well with no problem. I have no doubt about that. These cars have proven to me that they are dead reliable. Like, I mean, not a doubt in my mind. So we'll start at the back here, and we'll go to the front for the styling. In the back here, we have these cool tail lights. They got vertical beams, or like plastic ribs, and that go all the way across. And you have your reverse lights in here as well. And I believe, yeah, down here are, I believe, either reflectors or the turn signals. They used to be, unlike my 87 Delta I used to have, these used to be, what would you call it? The reverse lights. Sorry, I couldn't think of that for a second. But it has everything that you'd usually find. You know, your trunk lock, pulls up, reveals the key. It says Oldsmobile on the back. On this year, it has this like sort of bumper padding. You can see that the chrome bumper is underneath it. I'm not too sure if I want to leave it like this, or, well, I'm going to get a new bumper here eventually, because this one's pretty beat up. But I'm not sure if I should go with chrome bumpers on this car, or if I should just get new bumpers and just have them painted white. Something like that. Well, I'll think about it. But as we go up here, notice we have the sport turbine wheels with, yes, of course, drum brakes in the rear. That was just something Oldsmobile did on lower end model cars. I believe only the Trofeo and the Touring sedan came with four-wheel discs. Yes, because even the Regency Elite did not come with four-wheel discs. This was a big thing back then. Almost unheard of in American cars. So this thing is a four-door. You can see it's got a bit of rust on it, including here in the, well, we'll get to that. And we'll get to the interior here. So we come up to the front. You see that the front end was actually redesigned for this model year. The headlight and grille assembly are now two different assemblies. It used to be headlight, grille, center nose piece was a separate piece, and then it'd be grill, and then headlight trim. It just used to be it's still technically 3 pieces. They just combine the center nose piece with the grills. I like it. I think it's an interesting design. It sort of goes for what later became that dual snout design in the later Oldsmobiles, like in the 2000s, or like on my 88 from 1998. So they were getting to that point. This has reflectors on the side with turn signals down inside the bumper. Nothing on the side though. Even though this is a Royale Brougham, this car is about as loaded as you can get. It's basically optioned out like a Oldsmobile 98 would, but it's in a Delta 88 skin. You see it says 88. I believe they went from Delta 88 just to 88 in either 90 or 91 here to transition over to the next generation, because in 92 they switched over to the bubbly style. So let's take a look at the interior here. Nice red interior with red leather. Very, very nice. It's worn. Like I said, this car has 247,000 miles. I'm amazed that the interior even looks this nice. It has a digital dash or digital cluster. It has a trip odometer. It has a DIS, driver information system. Electronic climate control, like in the Trofeos. And this has the Delco, what is that called? The Delco 2. There's a couple other numbers there. Delco Loc 2. If anyone knows about these radios, let me know. This actually has a CD player in it, which I imagine is very rare. I've tried looking information on it online and just haven't found anything. This car has electric windows all around, but manual mirrors. Who would have thought? And the driver's seat is electric, but the passenger seat is manual. That's sort of what makes the difference between these 88s and the 98s, is that, yes, you can get them very luxurious, per se, or poverty spec, you know, depending on how you ordered it. Like my 87 Delta 88, now that car was pretty much just a fleet car, in a sense. It actually was. It was for a pipeline company back in the 80s. This one, I haven't looked into the history yet, but I will imagine I will find it eventually. Story goes, old lady drove this. I mean, from its condition, for the mileage, it does seem like that. Come onto this side, see, you have all the window controls. The front 2 windows are very slow moving, so I imagine both front doors are going to need new motors eventually. The rear ones go up and down extremely fast. And this has the dimensional sound, which means that it has, I believe it's Bose speakers on these, but it sounds great. I had them in a Trofeo before, and it was a great audio system. So, before we go into the interior and I show you it all lit up, let's talk about the rust on this car. You saw earlier that there's a little on the fenders, you know. It's nothing too bad, but it's something I need to get taken care of before it gets worse. Down here, you know, still solid, but needs to be taken care of, and on the doors. Just small stuff, but this is the worst spot. The other side is completely clean, which is really weird, but this is the worst. It's a pretty good size hole to the B-pillar. All pretty ate up. I'm going to have my friend Ben is going to help me. We're cutting out a chunk of metal. Since it's only the skin that's bad, the actual underneath metal here, you see that, still good underneath. So we're going to place that, and then it continues onto this side. of that. So I'm gonna have to get a piece. We're gonna have to probably gonna chop it all the way up to here, cut into here, probably cut to about right here, I'd imagine, where these split lines are for the metal. So at least it lines up with the body line, and we can line it up and get it good. Here's the engine. 3800 V6 or 3.8 liter, whatever you want to call it. This is, well, probably one of the greatest engines ever made. Or at least one of the most reliable that I know of. These engines just keep on going and going and going with minimal maintenance work. Now this one has, of course, like I said earlier, 245,000 miles. And doesn't look too bad. Yes, of course, there's going to be oil leaks, like both valve cover gaskets, the pan gasket, stuff like that is leaking. This engine in particular needs a bit of work. The water pump down here, sort of see this like stuff on there, like that, and right there. It's leaking a bit of coolant, and it's been leaking a small leak over time. Now the system doesn't overheat or anything, but it's a small leak over time, and it killed the camshaft position sensor, which is actually stuffed right underneath the water pump. So I'm going to go ahead and remove both of those. Looks like I'm going to have to take out this reservoir tank as well, because they put both the washer fluid tank and the coolant overflow on the same side instead of one on each side like my Trofeo has. But regardless, actually you can see, look how much space there is here. You could easily put a washer bottle here, but oh well, they decided to put it over here. This has, even though it's a 91, it has these the single coil pack on an ICM unit, which is ignition control module. These tend to go bad. I like to replace them with a 3-piece coil set, along with the same ICM. You do have to reconfigure the wires a bit. They might not correspond to the same cylinders, but it'll work nonetheless. Looks like someone has replaced this hose. You see here, sort of made it a little too long. Doesn't exactly, it should just go in it and then go straight and then curve into there, but they made it a little funky. But that could be corrected by just chopping off a little bit of the hose. Unless this hose is old, let's replace it anyways, because I got to drain the coolant out of this motor anyways to replace that water pump. So that's enough of that. The standard run-of-the-mill 3800, very easy to maintain, very cheap to run. Gets maybe about, I'd say, 18 city and about 24 on the highway if you're lucky, if you don't have a lead foot. Unfortunately, I do, so I'll never see that. So there's that. The paint on this car, not too good. But I think it'll clean up, and I plan to get some spots repainted eventually. So let's move on to the interior here. Like I said earlier, leather everything. Very nice, sleek red leather. Power windows, power locks, manual mirrors for whatever reason. I'll get in here. I'll get the keys here. Got the original GM key. Very, very worn. If you see that there. It's not even safe to put in the ignition cylinder because it'll probably break off. So I got a replacement made that we're going to put on if the key doesn't get jammed up on itself here. Alright. Put in the ignition cylinder. So this has a full digital cluster. There we go. This has a full digital cluster. See there, it says 245,622 miles. It has a digital fuel gauge, a trip. You can see all the little gauges there. Trip, you can change to either Imperial or how about the or English, I guess it would be E&M. We also have this driver information system. You can do the fuel range, economy, your instant, average, all that, coolant temp, oil life, the tach, battery, stuff like that. Tell you what the date is so we can date this video. It's very cool though. Then we have the electronic climate control. Start this thing up. So that all works. It should kick on. There we go. Yeah, you can see here. Go back to the gags. You see, tachometer works and everything. Really cool. And then you got the radio here. There's something wrong with the radio. It has 000. I press the power button. Nothing happens. Check to make sure there's a CD in it. No CD. Apparently the CD player does work though, at least. So I'll just throw CDs into it for now. But yeah, I've never seen one. Delco Loke 2, I suppose that's what it's called. Never seen one before. I don't want to really replace it either. It seems to be a pretty unique radio. Maybe if someone could help me figure out what's wrong with it, that'd be great. But yeah, that's pretty much it. You turn on your lights and stuff like that. Didn't come with a manual or anything, but get this cool trunk release right there. But yeah, these seats, these leather seats, very, very comfortable. There's all the badges and everything. Still got to go through some of this stuff. Some garbage in here. But yeah, that's pretty much it for the 88. Very nice car. Cheap for the money. Just needs a bit of work, that's all. Got my favorite protective coating on there. I don't think it worked too well, but yeah, it's just really cool. Got a cigarette tray or ashtray in the back for the kids, I suppose. Surprisingly, no cigarette lighters in the back or anything. Just the one thing for the whatchamacallit, for the window. No control for the power locks or anything like that. I guess you didn't really want kids to mess with that stuff anyways. So I suppose I see why they didn't do that. But yeah, that's pretty much it. Once I get the power steering, or not power, the water pump and everything, I'll take this on a drive. I actually got a camera mount to use on the windshield for driving, so I think I'll go ahead and do that next. There's still some more work to be done. Like I said, I'll probably do a video on the water pump and the cam sensor. I also need to find some parts. I need to find a new headlight here because this one's cracked right there. And then this trim piece, along with the reflectors, is bad. It's like it's snapped right there. And then I need to do some work on this fender because it got hit here pretty much. So yeah, that's pretty much it. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.